What about Manchester United and Old Trafford? Let's take you to the back page of the Daily Mail. United calling Coe to plan new Old Trafford. Sebastian Coe will lead a task force driving Manchester United's plans to bulldoze Old Trafford and build a new state-of-the-art stadium. This is taking some pace now, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting appointment to bring Lord Coe in. Obviously, he managed the London Olympics, and you can't get a bigger building project than that. So I suppose that shows that he's somebody with that kind of experience. It's really a little bit ironic. People who look at the fact that he managed the London Stadium didn't have a football legacy for when the Olympics was finished, and perhaps you'd say that that's not been the greatest result for the London Stadium, but he has been there and done it with these enormous building projects. There still is this big issue about paying for it. Jim Ratcliffe said he's alluded to wanting to have public funding. The government have sort of shied away from that. So there's sort of sums that have been talked about. I mean, one of the back pages said I saw a £3 billion building project, just eye-watering.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Back page of The Sun as well. We'll get to that in a second. United back Ratcliffe Stadium dream is a Telegraph inside story here. But Dave, how feasible does it seem like to you, particularly in the era of profit and sustainability? Are they likely to get external funds, particularly from the government, which is pretty cash-strapped in a recession at the moment?
I'd be surprised if there was government funding. Ratcliffe's a billionaire tax exile. The idea that he'll be taking a lot of public money for this project, I think, is very unlikely. And it certainly would be very unpopular if it did happen. But I mean, it's interesting. I went up to Old Trafford as a fan a few weeks ago and talking to a few United fans outside Lou Macquarie's Chippy. And there were people there who've been going for 50, 60 years to Old Trafford who were telling me the last thing they want is to see that the ground, the stadium bulldozed. Even if it's on the same site, it will be a completely different stadium. There's a lot of memories there, a lot of history there. And actually, we hear a lot about leaking roofs, and definitely our media area is pretty old school and cramped. But you go there as a fan, it still is an extraordinary stadium. It's still the largest capacity of any English club ground. It's got a lot going for it. It's a very big move to do that, and then there'll be disruption during the time when the building work's going on, which way United will play at that point. So Ratcliffe's certainly gone in with a vision. There's no doubt about that. He's certainly not doing things by halves, but it does feel like a huge risk in many different ways, financially and also in terms of the upheaval that sort of moving, having to move out of the stadium and then move back into a rebuilt stadium would cause.
What's your take on that, Martyn? Gary and Neville's unequivocal back page of The Sun. They've run with the headline, bulldoze Old Trafford from Neville. They said they need a world-class venue for all the memories he's had at the Theatre of Dreams. Do you think, like Dave suggests, that emotionality will be a barrier here, or do you think the presidents of Arsenal, Tottenham, etc., will mean that a new stadium is considered the best way forward?
I think there's always a hurdle to overcome, but actually I never think it's one that stops these sort of projects happening. Yeah, look at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, like absolutely magnificent place now. And you could say the same with Wembley Stadium, the old two towers, and people said, we shouldn't get rid of the national stadiums. But actually that was a sort of crumbling edifice by the time it was eventually knocked down. So I think it actually, in many ways, it's easier and better and cleaner and more successful for the club in the long run to start from scratch. So to get rid of it all, and then you're not sort of trying to sort of just paper over the cracks. You're actually starting from scratch, and I think it just becomes a much better place.